Finally gonna get a match. And it looks like we joined this one in action, so missed a few of the opening turns there. But we will finally get a match to stream here, so we are going to be seeing another repeat match of two previous champions here with Lee up against Gabriel. Lee will be on our perspective here with this Darkrai Sableye deck up against TDK. And we mentioned this previously, Gabriel is playing I think 59 of the same cards as Simon Rhodes' second place Worlds list. And did you say this was also Jason's 60? From
59. The difference being the fourth Darkrai was cut for the Absol.
Yeah, we see I love the full art Plasma Lugia. One of my favorite full art Pokemon.
Yeah. I actually, quick tangent here, when I first started playing again at this time, I was a sucker to buying max rarity stuff. So my first couple decks, I had Blastoise max rarity outside of the Ultra Balls, and Plasma max rarity, and Darkrai max rarity, and Virizion Genesect max rarity when I first started. And very, very quickly, months later, sold all those cards because I wasted way too much money. But those were beautiful cards. And now that I'm building retro, I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, I wonder how much those were. And that Plasma Lugia is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. A lot of these cards are too.
Yeah, this was the play I talked about earlier. Lee found the Enhanced Hammers early and is setting up this junk hunt for double Enhanced Hammer.
Which is the key to the matchup, too.
Yeah, this is the key to the matchup, and the response from the Plasma deck is generally going to be to use Thundurus, raid Knuckle for 1 lightning energy, 30 damage, attach any energy, including special energy from your discard, to one of your bench Team Plasma Pokemon. The power of this ramps up with Deoxys Power Connect, adding an extra 10 damage to all of your Team Plasma Pokemon. As you see, Gabriel looks like he's going to go with 2 here. The Enhanced Hammer is very, very hard when there are 2 even to keep up with. The other form of energy acceleration the deck has is Colress Machine, being an item card which lets you search your deck for a Team Plasma energy, or just called Plasma energy. It provides colorless. It doesn't do anything extra to almost every Pokemon in the deck, but it does let you kind of cheat the 1 energy per turn. So a common thing you will do with this deck is attach any Blend or Prism energy, which provide the water effect or the water cost in Kyurem's attack, plus a Colress Machine providing the colorless. You can Frost Spear as early as turn 1 and going first in this format. As there's the first turn rule, you can play as a supporter and you can attack. So the person going first gets a pretty significant advantage. The last thing I do want to say about the Plasma Energy is it does interact with the Lugia EX. I know Overflow is the ability. What's the attack? I can't remember.
Plasma Gale, I think.
Plasma Gale. It is Plasma Gale. 120 damage. You have to discard a Plasma Energy to use the attack. The attack cost is 4 colorless. There is 1 double colorless energy in the deck, but the Overflow ability allows you to take 1 more prize card if you do get the knockout. So that is a huge way for this Plasma deck to get back, stealing an extra prize off a 1 or 2 prizer out of nowhere, especially like a Colress Machine and double colorless attachment can be absolutely massive. And the end back from the Plasma deck is a common strategy when you do double Enhanced Hammer. 4 ends on both sides. That is a good way to combat this. So
yeah, and we want to talk about this as well because the Plasma deck only plays special energy. So those Enhanced Hammers and being able to recur those with the Sableye is going to be extremely significant, and that's where you saw Lee using the Junk Hunt to get back double Enhanced Hammer into Gabriel, playing an end to disrupt that hand. So now, of course, this Juniper is going to be digging for those Enhanced Hammers, and I'm curious because we see the Lugia getting powered up on the bench, but if Lee is able to hit these Enhanced Hammers, that Lugia will never be able to get attacks off, where it costs those 4 colorless energy. Even with a DCE option on there, it's still going to take several turns to charge up, and it's just probably one of your least efficient attackers in this deck, in this matchup specifically. So being able to, go in with something maybe like that Kyurem instead, since it does only need 2 energy to put out a little bit of pressure. And just for the viewers at home, we want to mention that the Repel you see in the hand here, since the Pokemon Catcher card was not a coin flip in this 2013 format, we do have to play Repel as a way to substitute for that, since catchers were eroded immediately afterwards. So TCGO forces you to actually use them as a coin flip, whereas the Repel, you can let your opponent choose the card to bring up, but then you can just tell them which one you want to bring up. So that's why you see the Repel on both sides here. Once again, showing the antiquated nature of TCGO, not having a spectator mode or updated rule sets or anything like that. But we do what we have to get the fun formats for sure.
And still the preferred way to play the Pokemon trading card game.
Yes.
Online.
over live,
funny,
yes.
Yeah, funny enough. So to answer a quick question, does Lugia's attack always cost 4 colorless energy? Yeah, there's no way to make it any less. The only way to power it up in one turn would be a double colorless attachment from hand with
plus
2 colorless
double colorless
machines.
machine, yeah.
But that's a huge investment. For the most part, you kind of want to use it to close out of a game. But we will see the bench scenario for this. This is probably what your bench, outside of that Lugia, the Lugia being there early does limit your damage output. You often want 3 Deoxys on your bench. 2 is fine. Actually going to go with the Helix Force. Now, this is actually a pretty common interaction in this matchup.
And an N, wow.
And an N.
Actually, no,
N
Z-Man.
early.
There's a Lugia EX from Ancient Origins that has a Arrow Ball for 2 colorless energy. It does have a 4 energy attack, but that one does at least have a double colorless attack. I'm trying to think of like other EX or like 2 multi-prize prints of Lugia. I can't think of other prints of Lugia historically. Oh, well, of course, Lugia EX from 2006, but that had a 3 energy for, what was that? Unseen Forces, I think was the Lugia from 2006 that had a 3 energy for 200 attack, which was absolutely absurd in its time. So not every Lugia has 4 energy attack, but yeah, that is typically the, and Lugia Legend, yeah, the wacky energy cost for sure.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I misunderstood what the question was there. But jumping back into this game, the Helix Force out of Deoxys, interesting interaction in the deck. Deoxys' ability Power Connect does not work on itself, so it will never do the extra damage. But Deoxys is actually a very solid attacker into Darkrai, although Darkrai does resist Psychic. Darkrai often, when attacking is going to have 3 energy on it, so you're both effectively 2-shotting each other. Helix Force doing 30 damage plus 30 for each energy on your opponent's active. It's basically all Bleed's going to do 100 damage, putting the Darkrai in 2-shot range.
But it's important because it only costs those 2 energy. It's just a, one of your rainbow providing a special energy plus a plasma energy. So it's probably one of your more efficient attackers. Although I would like to see this Kyurem being powered up at some point if you can get in there. But in the early turns of the game, I definitely like this decision to go in with the Deoxys. I think I would have preferred to see the Lugia just completely abandoned. And I recall watching the finals match as well, that featured this exact same matchup, and Simon Nerode playing this Plasma deck, and I feel like he kind of made the same approach going in with that Lugia, and I think, even just watching how that matchup played out, it's playing out here, you really have to identify that it costs so much energy commitment to it, and that your opponent is going to be gunning for those enhanced hammers and to continually trying to use those enhanced hammers, and that it's just kind of taking up a bench space right now. Like you said, you only have 2 Deoxys in play. You can't boost the damage output from other Plasma Pokemon by having a 3rd one in play, so now it's just kind of an awkward bench sitter. I didn't catch if the
and this
DCE's
Lugia
been
was
played yet.
Essentially a tech inclusion. There were people who were trying to play Plasma decks that were heavily Lugia focused, which would often play 4 copies of Deoxys EX, letting the 120 damage attack from Plasma Gale reach 180 damage. Here, something important to remember as well, there are times where you may choose to Plasma Gale for 170 with a laser to reach the knockout on the Darkrai EX, but the Power Connect, the Overflow ability only activates if you get the damage from attacks, and the poison would be not damage from an attack. Another thing you mentioned, maybe wanting the Plasma Pokemon to prioritize going with Kyurem here. With Mr. Mime on the bench, Kyurem doesn't really do that much.
Yeah, I did just notice the Mime too. I was like, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, well.
From playing this matchup recently, the approach that I actually took in the games that I played is actually just to focus down the Mr. Mime as fast as possible, because this version of Darkrai has no way of getting the Mr. Mime back. So if you can actually get rid of the Mr. Mime, and you can Frost Spear, there are a lot of basically any attack in your game any attack on your board, in combination with a Hypnotoxic Laser and Verbank, you're going to be able to find the one shot on the Mr. Mime, and then afterwards, that's when your Frost Spears do a ton of damage and help you get that chip on the Darkrai, so then the Lugia can take the 3 prizes off it. So Kyurem's a completely vital part of the deck. Maybe if they wanted to get another 1 prizer out, Absol is actually pretty solid here. Because with Mr. Mime in play, just doesn't feel that great.
And you're looking at the prize map here for Gabriel as well, and with those 3 prizes remaining, you're going to need to find a way to take out this Darkrai and then finish the game on any of those, the Sableye, the Mr. Mime, or that Absol on the bench. And in speaking to the strategy that you were just alluding to, it really does benefit that prize trade a lot by aggressively chasing down the Mr. Mime, because your opponent's going to want to lead with that Sableye in the early turns of the game, especially if they're going, using the Junk Hunt to get back some Enhanced Hammers after playing them. They can Junk Hunt to get them back, but then they're going to have that Sableye in the active, give up that 1 prize, and then you can take that odd prize with the Mr. Mime on the bench to put yourself back on even prizes and take out 2 EXs from that point. So it really does benefit the prize trade, especially looking at Gabriel's board with 3 prizes left here. You'd love to take out one of those 1 prizers, given the opportunity.
This is a huge turn. So Skyla means the hand is safe for Lee.
This is like the 3rd time this week that my streams crashed, and it happened multiple times the other day, which was, I was nervous about that.
That's super rough.
Game 1 is going to be super scuffed on YouTube. I apologize for that, y'all. But Lee did take that one. Get that.
Is Game 2 also going to be super scuffed here? So Lee probably benefiting from the pass rule here. One extra card here is actually going to make a huge difference, because his hand is not looking very good.
Yeah, and getting the Sableye is nice as well, because you can at least have something to buy a few more turns. It will go down eventually to a Frost Spear on the bench, so you can hold it off for a turn or 2 just to not take any bench damage, but gives you one more thing to give yourself a little more time to get back into the game. And we'll see if the pass rule really pays off on the top deck of a random receiver or a draw supporter, anything of that variety. And this is a funny thing I'm mentioning. I'm looking at the chat here. Oh, Stellar, yes, this is Game 2. I just updated it. So Game 2, Lee did take Game 1. But talking about Lugia, we were mentioning this previously, but Lugia was printed as a water type multiple times, despite the fact that it is a flying psychic Pokemon. So pretty funny little thing there. I think it's, Lugia is definitely touted as one of the premier water aquatic looking Pokemon when it's shown in the anime. It's
not aquatic looking. It is.
It is. Yeah.
Have you not seen Pokemon 2000?
That's my favorite
I, for one,
Pokemon
saw it
movie.
in theaters.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I walked in and got my Ancient Mew promo. Thank you very much.
I also did, and still have that in my binder, and I did not treat it very well, but. Yes, going into this...
I have a vivid memory of getting that card, and my older cousin wrote, I don't know if you remember, there's another card that came with it in the package, and it said, "What does Mew do?" And you got to write down on this card what the Ancient Mew did. And my cousin wrote it did 2,000 damage and had 2,000 health with 1 retreat cost, because at that age, I would have been 7, and my cousin would have been a couple years older. That was the biggest number in our head was 2,000.
2,000.
Right? So that's what we put on it.
Well, it was topical too, because the movie 2000, the year 2000, it's topical.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we did see the Raid Knuckle there from Gabriel in combination with a laser. So getting some good damage on this Darkrai, putting out a lot of early pressure, and accelerating an energy to the bench Kyurem is really good. And Lee's hand is still terrible.
It's terrible. Choosing to maybe cheese a turn with the 25% chance the laser keeps them asleep and there's no Keldeo Russian retreat to save them. Now basically has to choose whether to maybe get out of this poison damage and give up the Sableye, but the Sableye is like in immediate danger from an attack, right? With 2 Deoxys on the bench, Raiden Knuckle or Frostby are both going to do 50 damage. So purple Deoxys EX comes up. I'm
colorblind.
And showing off the very important to point out, I'm colorblind. Spelling color with a U, the correct way to spell color.
Yes, Gabriel is from Brazil, so spelling, I guess,
basically anywhere,
but the US.
Anywhere in the world besides US, similar to the imperial system that you guys use for some reason.
Yes,
only being used there. I digress. Keldeo Flowstone does come down, so from hand 2 before the computer search is just, that's gotta feel bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lee
I would
is
at
not
least
like
give
in
it
this
one more
position.
turn. Pretty good, High five. Yeah. I mean, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Stellar, it says at the bottom. Yeah, I've been updating the match results and stuff like that. I worked really hard on all these fancy little things to add to the stream, and you don't even look at them. Rude. Yeah, this is looking pretty unfortunate for Lee. At least you have the benefit though of you did win game 1, so this isn't like a game 3 scenario. You at least still have the potential of a clean game 3 to look forward to. And this matchup should definitely be in your favor if you're able to get set up in that game 3.
And especially with Sableye. Sableye, one of the ultimate comeback cards, Dark Patch, right? A great comeback mechanic card because it's obviously very oppressive. Early, getting fast Dark Patches can put on a lot of pressure, but also when you're whiffing energy, a little bit behind, Dark Patch can kind of get you back into it. We'll see a Raiden Knuckle for the max damage output, 60 damage for 1 energy. Could accelerate energy from the discard pile, or has to if there is one, and there's that random receiver top deck, and it's going to be an N. So, I mean, it was one or the other. There's only N. There's 3 random receiver, 4 N, 4 Juniper in the deck. The only options, no Colress. I will probably just see a junk hunt here. Not a lot of great targets to get back, though, right? Like, there's Laser, random receiver. I think that's it. Oh, and then there's the Repel, which is the Pokemon catcher.
Yeah. And I think the important thing, though, is at least getting the Darkrai out of there. Like, you just want to... Obviously, these cards are impactful to take back. Like, Laser and Catcher are, valuable cards to have. But the most important thing is you're at least getting the damaged Darkrai out of the active. And, you can boost up your damage with those lasers. So, good to have back.
And again, I've played this matchup a lot recently, and I would not be surprised to see things like, Dark Patch, Energy Switch, attach onto another Darkrai EX is so oppressive, and not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. That can come out of nowhere.
Especially with the Juniper in hand already, we're going to be seeing a significant amount of cards drawn with that, so... Definitely potential for that to come down in the following turn. But even if it doesn't, you've at least managed to establish your board a little bit better. Of course, this Frostbeard, though, is very scary. Yeah. And would love to find
and it's also going to put the Darkrai. Yeah, we got to find a mime here. Another last-ditch effort that this deck can make from time to time is going for a Pokemon catcher on Keldeo and trying to actually sleep the Keldeo for a turn. I wonder if that's their route. And yep, Lee is going to identify that. And we have 2 chances here to at least flip heads. Heads is, that's step 1. Okay, so...
There's the heads.
So now there's a 50... Don't do it. He's cute. I agree, but not the promo art. The promo art, not as much. But that's fine.
Agreed.
We'll allow it.
But the good old heads, tails.
Yeah. And actually, unfortunately, whiffed the energy, got the energy switch, but not the energy.
We could go get the Mr. Mime here, though. Yeah,
you probably need the Mime, and you're probably just going to junk hunt here. There are a couple different options. I probably like junk hunting and ultra balling for a mime. Wow, that is. I really would like to see a Mr. Mime come down, especially with 2 Keldios. I mean, I understand if you do get your let's not hit each other's Keldios. And here we go. This
There's
big
the
flip in his tail.
tails.
So
Wow.
Lee does steal a turn, but here's the thing: like this obviously is a play, but it's kind of like a Hail Mary play. And in Lee's position, I don't think the Plasma deck is gonna have to go for that Hail Mary play on a Keldeo on Lee's side of the board. So maybe just, giving up the Keldeo as an Ultra Ball option, or maybe even just like really anything. I really would have liked to see a Mime on the bench there, because a Wake Up on that Keldeo at a Frost Spear knocking out Darkrai has to be the game.
Gold Potion is the optimal ace spec in Darkrai. That is very valid.
And you
who needs computer
junk
search?
hunt for Gold Potion too. Yeah,
Wow,
you can use Gold Potion over and over.
We see the Max Potion on that Keldeo just to get the 30 damage replaced immediately by that
Another
poison.
turn is sleep, and you know what? I mean, I probably expect him to go for a knockout here if he can get it. The knockout is 90, 60. No, he would need a Dark Claw to get the knockout here. The attack is guaranteed. If he wants to go for it, a Dark Patch Retreat, an Energy Switch would get there. But now we see the Ultra Ball. I'm gonna opt for Juniper this turn, it looks like. And yeah, Mr. Mime is in the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems that Kyurem is just not being respected at all. Is clicking on the Kyurem. He does know it exists.
Yeah, and the Absol could be very strong here, actually.
Absol very strong. Again,
yeah,
Burbank Laser Dark Claw with a full bench on the Plasma side is a one-shot on any Pokemon on their board besides Lugia EX.
And now all we need to find is one Dark Energy off, or we can just use the Energy Switch as well.
You can use the Energy Switch. Yep.
So this is a great attacker to go into in this middling stage.
And choosing knock out the Kyurem.
Yeah. Okay. And I like this from Lee, taking out what's the most threatening thing, especially since you have that Darkrai on the bench. Now, if you were whiffing that Mr. Mime off this Juniper, you at least give yourself that option to take out the most immediate threat to that damaged Darkrai. But we do find the Mr. Mime. I'm curious to see if we'll have that bench.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of sticky on that Mime, but this route effectively does the same thing.
Right.
Something to point out as well is there hasn't been an energy attachment yet, I don't think. I think it was just Dark Patch Energy Switch. Energy Switch in hand. Yeah. I probably, now that you've committed to this Absol strategy and taking out the Pokemon that's going to hit the bench, we definitely want to get a second Darkrai out here. And that second Keldeo being benched, I really don't think was worthwhile. I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times before and will be wrong many more times. And no Dark in the discard pile, but this is still great. Gonna commit the Dark Claw now. I don't mind holding it here. And N isn't gonna hurt you too bad because, I mean, you're only taking one prize, and you really don't know where you want that Dark Claw at this point.
Right.
No need to commit it. You may need it for another. It may be the second Darkrai you need it for. Still a lot of game left.
Confuse Ray for 30. You never know.
No,
you might need it.
But seriously, you don't have to commit that. Like,
right.
If you were, for instance, about to be end down to a low count maybe, but in this position, as bad as Lee's start was, both players are just, they've taken one prize each. Obviously, the Darkrai very weak on the bench, and with no flip required on Pokemon Catcher, which we're using Repel right now as kind of like a proxy for it, that Darkrai on the bench will die to literally anything. A laser will take a knockout, a Raid Knuckle, anything will get there. And no Mime on the bench means even like a Kyurem attachment plus Colress Machine at any point is very scary. Because Lee has benched himself out here. And there is that Kyurem. And the last Kyurem, actually, 2 Kyurems already in the discard pile. This list is 1 card different from Simon Nero's second place list. He took out a Colress, and really that's kind of the card I would want the most here. He did add the Kyurem in replace of the Colress, so it's kind of like, it's weird to say because, you know, but maybe he wouldn't have discarded the Kyurem. Anyways, that is definitely the best play. But by how slow he's playing this, I wonder if his hand is just, oh, okay, so he has Frost Spear.
This is going to be a big
is there
turn.
a supporter follow-up? Even without a supporter follow-up, this is still solid.
What's going on, Puffles?
And really, the Dark Claw being in the hand as well. Maybe the Plasma hand's dead. They just have the Frost Spear for a knockout, and then actually having that Dark Claw on the Absol may end up being very solid.
Yeah, and that's just another thing to, you know, bring up, you wanting to hold that Dark Claw. You know, exactly what we're going to see right here, whiffing the KO on the Absol, so now we can actually have the option to put that there on that Absol. Would love to see an N from, and actually, I mean, I guess with Gabriel taking the two prizes, though.
And I feel like there would have been, He's playing this so slow that I think that the hand is very bad, but there's like, there's one other option.
I was saying on the next turn from Lee. Yeah.
Exactly. You're not in this position, guys. You know, when you see people play really slow, I'm very guilty of, you know, getting mad at the computer and being like, hurry up, make a move. But they're not thinking about Frost Spear, Darkrai 30 damage. They know that that's what they're going to do. They're thinking about the next turn and the turn after. And hey, if I take this route, am I closing off other avenues that I could take to win the game? And that's, you know, one of the great parts about Pokemon is no game is the same as the last one, and this Enhanced Hammer here, again, counting the discard, love that from Lee, understanding what energies that the deck has left, and especially in an open deck list format, super important.
And I like the choice of the Enhanced Hammer on that Thundurus, because it is a Pokemon that if you choose to Enhanced Hammer off the Deoxys, for example, that Thundurus can just get into the active. You can, you know, put it in the active, use that Raiden Knuckle that's already powered up with the one energy attached, and it can just re-accelerate that energy back into play. So taking the energy off of that Thundurus means that it can't just use Raiden Knuckle, and you need to find an additional energy now to commit to that to actually get an energy accelerated into play on the following turn.
And this is really, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but if you're wondering like how to get better at Pokemon, this is a great example of every single thing you do in a game and every single thing you don't do in a game matters. And it's as simple as just not attaching the Dark Claw. Lee's hand very not great here. And if he didn't have a Dark Claw here, there's no knockout. There's no response to that Kyurem if he chose to attach that Dark Claw anywhere else. So Lee's showing great discipline and just game awareness, knowing I don't have to do this right now.
And it's a reminder that the green glowing cards don't have to be played.
Yes.
They do not have to be played. And it's a great, you know, like you said, you know, exercising restraint. And wow, we see 2 energy hitting the bin off of this Juniper. So the DCE goes down, and the third plasma energy.
Plasma energy, actually the most important one, because it's your only other way outside of Thundurus to accelerate an energy. And your only way within your turn to accelerate an energy, right? Thundurus accelerates a turn with the attack, but it's not the same as Dark Patch, right? Colorless Machine lets you within your turn attach that extra energy from deck. So at the absolute most, there's access to 1 Plasma Energy and 1 Colorless Machine that can get it there.
And that's super threatening.
Sacrifice of the Absol.
Yeah, but we're looking at Lee's hand. I love the Mr. Mime 3 Dark Patch, so it is still dead. But this goes back to what you're saying about the way that you play the game and the intricacies that you can manage with it, and also the complement to this Darkrai deck that you're able to maneuver with this really poor, I mean, this whole game, it's been really poor hands for Lee, but we're still down to just 2 prizes left here. So this game is very winnable. And actually, you're in a pretty good spot. And it shows the resilience of this Darkrai deck with those Enhanced Hammers, the Sableyes to get those back. It's a very grindy deck. It looks like you're losing the game for most of the time. You know, you don't necessarily have to be on the front foot all of the time with that Darkrai using Night Spears after Night Spear. But you can just slowly grind your opponent down, use those Enhanced Hammers, bring them back. Use the lasers. You know, Lee was able to get a really fortunate turn with the heads tails on laser into a good catcher. All of these little things that contribute to winning a game. And sometimes it takes luck. That's, you know, part of the game. But Lee really putting himself in the best position to have that luck kind of benefit him when it happens.
That's such a good way of phrasing it too. Luck is a very, very big aspect of the Pokemon trading card game, but you always want to give yourself a position which is least reliant on luck.
Exactly. And it's something that you see a lot from, current top players. I've said this before about Tord Reklev, that I think he's one of the luckiest players, right? Like, you've seen so many of his stream matches, and he's a very, very lucky player in a lot of those situations. But of course, he's very skillful in getting to the point where he's playing into those numbers very well. He's putting himself in the best position to have that luck, maximizing the percentages to draw the good card by thinning out his deck. All of those little nuances that go into maximizing your potential to have the luck benefit you. And speaking of fortunate luck, getting this random receiver off of that end to 2, definitely very nice to see.
Yep. Guaranteed supporter and guaranteed draw supporter. However, which one we get is going to dramatically influence and enhance Hammer top deck great as well. And it is an N, the first card, not the one we wanted, would have preferred a research. Oh no, I can't believe I'm saying that. Professor Juniper. But given the fact that you're getting N to 2, you will take it, especially with that enhanced Hammer top deck.
And I'll give you that pass.
Maybe you're not drawing a lot of cards, but you're also disrupting your opponent back. So.
And I'll give you the pass on the research there, because I don't know about you, but I always play the Juniper art research, so they look very much the same to me when this happens. But I want to mention this, and wow, we just see the... Okay, well, this is great, though, because we can get a Night Spear off at the very least.
You can get a Night Spear off, but if there's no N back, it means that even if there's like a weird spot where you need to like Keldeo retreat, I just wonder where the... Yeah, it just gives you any option for next turn attacking as well. I wonder where the energy switch actually going to choose to junk hunt.
And I like this. I'm not sure how many catchers Gabriel has played, but I like this because it forces that odd prize.
Yep. And that's super, super important. You saw Lee set that up again last turn of the turn before, choosing to take the knockout on the Keldeo instead of the Absol, saying, you know what, the Absol doesn't get me any closer to winning the game. The Absol has no energy on it. I don't really have a big bench. It needs quite a bit. It can't get charged up in one turn unless you find, Prism Energy from hand plus Colress Machine, and the one last Plasma Energy would have to be in the deck. Right. Not very likely that Absol ever does anything, so really good routing here by Lee. And just showing, again, like you said, the resilience of this Darkrai deck. And really, as I said at the beginning, it's not like Darkrai's an insane Pokemon, Keldeo's an insane Pokemon, but it's really Sableye that's the backbone of specifically Jason's build that won the World Championships in 2013.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at the, it's funny because we had seen, I was looking through the discard pile for Lee. I'm like, there are still 3 dark patches at large, and, you're able to get back stuff like the catcher and that enhanced hammer. But I was wondering if, how you felt about not taking the random receiver off that last junk hunt. Obviously this hand has a lot of options in it, but not taking the random receiver is a very interesting choice to me, not being able to look for another supporter. Is it possible we're just out of draw supporters?
It's possible we're out of draw supporters, or maybe out of oh my goodness, Juniper as well. So maybe if the random receiver is going to hit an N, it's not really worthwhile. We'll see what the route is here. I think Junk Hunt either way was absolutely the best play. I'm going to see Raid Knuckle for 60, and I like that as well. Putting the extra Prism Energy on the Deoxys, saying, I know you have one enhanced hammer in hand, so no matter what, I can attack with this Deoxys if I want, but I think that right enhanced hammer target is probably just the active, because if you want to attack with that Deoxys, that's a retreat, right? So I would expect a retreat into the Darkrai, energy switch, and then maybe an enhanced hammer on the active Thundurus. I feel like is the strongest,
right?
But they're gonna go after the Deoxys
with no energy on it.
Energy, okay.
Yeah, and I like this because now, of course, we know the Keldeo is down. There's a Floatstone already in play, and at least one in the discard that was on that Keldeo. So this is honestly fairly likely, and the DCE's down too. So a lot of the options to get this 2 retreat Darkrai. Wow, 2 Floatstones actually.
None. There are none. That is again perfect.
Wow.
And, with no spectator mode, you have to give your casters the benefit of the doubt that we don't always know the exact situation.
Get deep into politics. Gabriel. Also, what's up,
Um,
Trainer Red? Welcome in.
Yeah,
Oh my
important to
god.
know we don't have perfect knowledge all the time. We're trying to do our best, but that's something again with open team. It's open team sheet. That's VGC. Open deck list. You know exactly what your opponent's outs are. So if you have their deck list open beside you while you're playing, you know the probability of all their draws outside of the variance of their prize cards. But also if you know 100% if they're out of anything. So there's technically one way this thing can move, and that's Colress Machine attach. But we are going to see a repel, which is Pokemon Catcher. Whatever it grabs up can move via Keldeo Russian Retreat. What is the promotion here?
Yeah, I'm wondering what. I mean, what is the avenue at this point? Like, it's literally just hope that you have the Colress Machine attached, but we've already seen
The
so
thing
many
is,
energy
yeah,
played.
if you put up the Sableye, even if they knock you out, you don't lose. And the odds that they knock you out are, I would say, near zero. Like I said, there's only one way that this Deoxys could move or attack, and that's Colress Machine plus Prism or plus attach. Oh, Laser Sableye. That is, again,
No, but it gets knocked out still. Yeah, no, it gets knocked out still.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure there's an out here. Yeah, I guess no, with double Keldeo in play, I don't think there's any option because you couldn't like heads tails laser a Keldeo since there's a second one already there.
Yep.
So I think the only out would have been to find. Yeah. We did at least have the energy from hand, but and just the pass, and wow, after that incredibly dismal start from Lee, going to take this one in a nail biter and move on to the finals once again. Incredibly well played match from both players, but Lee taking it with the Computer Search Prize as well.
Yeah. And another important lesson to learn, unfortunately, is a lot of people don't hear is just don't give up, especially in your practice games, online matches where they really, again, don't matter. I hate to say it. Just play out the game. Learn from your mistakes. Try to find ways. Because sometimes you play the game and you find some random route in a matchup you didn't know about, and then you tell your teammates, and then, that's a huge part of the game, and understanding board state.